Hi, it's Mark Donegan with the Marketing Execution Podcast. A lot of people believe great public speaking is something you're just born with. But Chris Anderson, the curator of TED, proved that's not true after watching hundreds of talks that either captivated or collapsed. The real issue? Fear. Fear keeps founders from sharing ideas that could reshape their markets. In this episode, we'll unpack what actually works on stage and how you can use it to tell your story with confidence.
Tune in, listen up, it's marketing time. Bright ideas sparking, blowing your mind. From strategies to big exec dreams, catch the buzz and join the execution. Marketing Convo.
Welcome to the Marketing Execution Podcast. This is the show for tech founders and leaders building B2B products and technologies. We show you how to go further, faster to get the business results you need.
From strategies to big exec dreams, catch the buzz and join the execution. Marketing Convo.
Mark, I was thinking about something this morning. We talk a lot about product, about growth loops, about CAC and LTV, but I'm starting to believe the single biggest leverage point for a founder is something we almost never discuss.
Oh yeah? Share that with us, son. What's that?
Just how they talk, how they communicate their idea. I watched the demo day pitch last week, and the idea was brilliant. The product was solid, but the founder, he just couldn't land the story. It was painful.
The classic curse of the brilliant founder. It's so common. They think because the idea is good, it'll just, sell itself. But that's never how it works, right? The world runs on stories, not just code.
Exactly. And it all comes down to public speaking, which I think terrifies 99% of them. They see these flawless TED Talks and think, I can't do that.
Well, that's actually the first big misconception we got to tear down. The source for this is Chris Anderson's book on TED Talks, and he's seen hundreds of these. The first secret is that you do not need to be some perfectly polished, eloquent orator. In fact, sometimes that hurts you.
Wait, how does being a good speaker hurt you?
Because it can feel inauthentic. People connect with conversational style. They connect with passion, not perfection. This idea that you have to be Winston Churchill on stage is a self-limiting belief that paralyzes founders before they even start. You can be a little awkward, you can stumble. If the core idea is there and your passion is real, people will lean in.
Okay, so that's a huge relief. You don't have to be perfect, but you still need a point, right? That's what was missing from that pitch I saw. It was just a collection of features.
Yes, and that brings us to what is, I think, the most important concept in all of public speaking, especially for founders. Anderson calls it the throughline.
The throughline. We've talked about it in the previous episode, right?
Yeah, it's the one sentence takeaway. It's the point of your speech. It's the lesson you want your audience to walk away with. If your idea is, I want to talk about my new AI-powered SaaS tool, your throughline might be automating this one specific workflow frees up developers to be 10 times more creative. You see the difference?
Yeah. One is a topic, the other is a message. It has a so what baked into it.
Precisely. And you need to be ruthless about it. Everything in your talk, every story, every data point, every slide has to serve that one sentence throughline. If it doesn't, you cut it. No matter how cool the feature is, this is the discipline that 90% of founders lack. They fall in love with their own stuff and just want to show it all.
So how do you make that through line interesting? Like the dangers of procrastination is a boring through line.
Right. You have to add the element of surprise. What if the talk was the benefits of procrastination? Instantly, I'm curious. You're trying to nudge people's worldview. And that leads to the next piece, which is all about persuasion. Because founders aren't just explaining, they are always persuading.
Persuading investors, customers, potential hires. Their entire job is persuasion.
Exactly. And the book lays out a few killer strategies for this. The first is priming. Before you even state your main argument, you prime the audience to be receptive. You show a picture of happy, productive employees before you introduce your new HR software. You're setting the emotional stage.
That feels a little manipulative.
I mean, all marketing is to some degree, but it's about getting them into a state of mind where they can hear your logic. And that's the next part, the appeal to logic. But it's not just about throwing stats on a slide. The real high-level move here, and something we should talk more about on the Marketing Execution podcast, is discrediting the opposite stance.
You mean like talking about your competitors?
Not just that, it's about building what's called a steel man of your opponent's argument. Not a straw man, which is a weak, easy to knock down version of their point. A steel man is the strongest possible version of the argument against you. You present it fairly, and then you show why it's still wrong.
Whoa, so you're basically saying, I understand the best possible reason not to do this, and here's why you should do it anyway. That builds a ton of trust.
A monstrous amount of trust. It shows you've thought more deeply about the problem than anyone else. It leaves almost no room for objection. Imagine doing that in the VC pitch. You address their biggest concern before they even have a chance to ask the question. It's a checkmate move.
Okay, that's a brilliant tactic. So let's get super practical. You have your through line, you have your persuasion strategy. How do you actually prepare? Do you memorize the whole thing word for word?
The million-dollar question. And there's no single right answer. It's a strategic choice. The book lays out 3 real options. First is scripted and memorized.
The Steve Jobs method.
The Steve Jobs method, exactly. The benefit is total control. You choose every word, you nail the timing. The risk, you can sound like a robot. Anderson says you have to rehearse it so many times that you go from passionate but clunky to smooth but passionless, and then you have to keep going until the passion comes back. It's a huge time commitment.
Okay, what's option 2?
Scripted and read. This usually bombs, but it can work if you're a truly gifted writer or if you have incredible visuals that are the star of the show. The audience is looking at the slides, not you. But for a founder pitch, very risky. It can scream unprepared.
So what's the last one? This is probably what most people do.
The last one is unscripted but planned out. You know your through line, you have your key points, your stories, your data, but you don't memorize the exact words. The benefit is it feels authentic, fresh, passionate. The risk, you can ramble, use jargon, and run out of time. This is where most founders get into trouble.
So for a founder who isn't a natural speaker, memorizing seems safer, but for a great storyteller, the unscripted route might be better.
That's the trade-off. There was this one founder I heard about, brilliant guy, but super nervous. For his big pitch, his team convinced him to memorize just the first 60 seconds and the final 60 seconds. The book says your opening and closing are everything. So he nailed the opening, which gave him a rush of confidence to handle the middle part more improvisationally, and then he landed the plane perfectly with a memorized close. Best of both worlds.
That is such a practical, actionable piece of advice. So it's not an all or nothing choice. You can blend these strategies. Okay, this totally reframes how to think about building a pitch. Mark, this is great. Now, a lot of this focuses on the words, on the structure, but you mentioned visuals. Let's pivot to the deck itself. How does the perfect slide deck support these ideas without overpowering them?
It's so funny you use that word, support, because that is the entire ball game. And it's the thing almost every founder gets backwards. They think the deck is the presentation. They treat it like a document, like a leave behind that has to contain every single piece of information. But it's not. The deck is a billboard.
A billboard, not a document. Okay, unpack that. I like that.
I mean, what does a billboard do? It has one powerful image and like 5 words. Its only job is to get you to look up from the road and feel something. That's what your slide should do. Their job is to create an emotional backdrop for what you are saying. The founder is the star of the show. The slides are just the set dressing.
So when I see a deck that's just a wall of text, what is that founder really signaling? Because it's not just bad design, right? It's something deeper.
Oh man, it's so much deeper. It signals a total lack of confidence. It screams, I don't trust myself to remember my own story, so I wrote it all down for you. It forces the audience to choose between reading your slide or listening to you. And guess what? They're going to read. And the second they do that, you've lost them. You've broken the human connection.
Wow. So the perfect deck is actually an act of confidence, is saying, you don't need to read. Just listen to me. I've got this.
Exactly. I know of a company that raised their seed round with a 10-slide deck, and I swear there couldn't have been more than 50 words in the whole thing. One slide was just a single shocking statistic, nothing else. The founder put it up, and then he just stood there in silence for like 5 full seconds. Let it sink in. It was powerful. The room was completely his.
Okay, but that puts an incredible amount of pressure on the founder's actual presence, right? If the slides are minimal, then everything is riding on how that person shows up, their body language, their voice, their whole vibe.
Their whole vibe. Yes, that's it. Because why are we even talking about this? What's the point of a pitch? It's not to transmit information. They can get that from a memo. The point is to make the people in that room believe. Believe in the idea, sure, but more than that, believe in you.
So you're not really selling a SaaS product. You're selling the idea that you are the person who can build $1 billion company around it.
You are selling belief in yourself as a leader. And every single thing you do on that stage is either building or eroding that belief. The book talks about this stuff, wardrobe, movement, all that. And it's not about being superficial. It's about understanding the signals you're sending. If you're slouched, if you're avoiding eye contact, if your voice is a flat monotone, you are non-verbally telling everyone, I don't actually believe this myself. Why should they?
Wait, hang on. I can hear founders listening to this right now and getting terrified. They're thinking, but I'm a product person. I'm an engineer. I'm not a performer. That feels like an impossible standard.
See, but that's the trap. It's not about being a performer. It's the opposite. It's about being authentic. Anderson says admitting you're nervous is one of the most powerful things you can do. It doesn't make you look weak. It makes you look human. The audience wants to root for you. They connect with real passion, even if it's a little shaky. Perfection feels polished and fake. Genuine passion, even if you stumble over a word or two, that's what builds trust. It's about letting people see that you care about this so much. It actually makes you nervous.
Okay, so the deck serves the speaker, and the speaker's job is to build an authentic connection. It's all about trust, not just information transfer. That reframes everything. It really matters because the pitch isn't a test of your memory, it's a test of your conviction.
You nailed it. It's a conviction test.
Okay, so if we accept this philosophy that it's about authentic connection and building belief, let's get into the nitty-gritty. What are the tangible step-by-step actions a founder can take right now to prepare for this, from the opening line to the final ask?
Okay, Tim, let's get into how people, especially B2B leaders, can actually use this stuff. This is where the rubber meets the road.
Yes, let's do it. I'm ready. Give me the playbook. What's step one for a founder staring at a blank PowerPoint?
Okay, step one is simple. Forget the slides. Don't even open the app. The first thing you need to do is figure out your opening. You have about 60 seconds to grab them. Not with your life story, not with the company history, but with a hook.
A hook, like something dramatic?
Exactly, something dramatic, a question, a shocking statistic. Think about a cybersecurity SaaS company. They don't start with, we were founded in 2021 by 3 engineers. No, they start with, last year, over 1,000 small businesses went under, not because of the economy, but because of a single ransomware attack.
Wow, okay. That gets my attention. It creates an immediate problem that I feel.
It creates a villain and a victim. Suddenly, the audience is leaning in. They're thinking, could that be me? You've made it personal before you said a single word about your product. That's the first tangible step. Write an opening that makes the room go silent.
I love that. So you start with the emotion, with the problem, Then what? What's the second big action item?
The second thing is to find your through line. That's what Chris Anderson calls it. It's the one single idea that you want to leave them with. It's the point of the whole speech.
So not a list of features.
Never a list of features. It's the core belief. It's your I have a dream sentence. A founder I work with was building a DevOps tool. Super complex stuff. We spent a whole day on this. He wanted to talk about automated deployments and integration testing, and I kept stopping him.
I can picture that.
Finally, I asked him, why does this matter? What's the real human impact? And he said, we give senior engineers their nights and weekends back. Boom. That was it. That's the through line. It's not about the code. It's about giving people their lives back. It's emotional. It's a story.
So every founder should be able to boil their entire pitch down to one of those sentences.
One sentence. That's the second step. If you can't state your through line in one simple emotional sentence, you don't have one, and your pitch will be all over the place. Think of it like a recipe. The through line is the main ingredient. Everything else, the stories, the data, it all just exists to make that one ingredient taste amazing.
Okay, this is super actionable. Number 1, a killer emotional opening. Number 2, a single simple through line. What's the third thing a founder can do to prepare, practically speaking?
Practice. But not the way you think. Most people think practice means memorizing a script word for word. That is the absolute worst thing you can do. You'll sound like a robot. You'll sound like you're reading a teleprompter in your head. The passion disappears.
So you just wing it?
No. You have a structure. You have your opening. You have your through line. You have maybe 3 key stories or data points you want to hit. Think of them as signposts on a highway. You know you have to hit New York, Chicago, and LA. But the road you take between them, the exact words you use, that can be a little different every time. It keeps it fresh. It keeps it authentic.
So you practice the points, not the paragraph.
You practice the journey. This way, if you forget a sentence, you don't panic and freeze. You just know you need to get to the next signpost. It frees you up to actually connect with the audience, to look them in the eye instead of just trying to remember your next line. It's the difference between reciting a poem and telling a story.
Wow, this is gold, Mark. Okay, before we wrap, can you boil this all down for us? Give us the big summary of everything we've talked about.
Okay, absolutely. So we started by killing the myth that you need to be some perfect speaker. You don't. You just need passion and a crystal clear through line, that one big idea. Then we hit the deck. Its only job is to support you because you're not really selling software, you're selling belief in yourself. And finally, we got tactical. Craft an opening that creates a villain. Find the one emotional sentence that is your true north and practice the journey so you can actually connect with people. It's all about creating an authentic human connection, not just the flawless performance.
That's a perfect summary. So after all this, all the tactics and strategies, what's the one thing you really, really hope a founder doesn't forget?
You know what, Tim? A presentation gives people information, but a movement gives people belief, and belief is the only currency that matters. The Marketing Execution Podcast is produced by Growth Stage Marketing. We are on a mission to see your company reach wild success using marketing pods.
Too big, accept dreams. Catch the buzz and join the execution. Marketing Convo.
Thank you for listening and being a part of the Marketing Execution movement and community. To learn how growth stage marketing clients reach more buyers and drive business impact, go to growthstage.marketing. That's growthstage.marketing.